Nerd on the Podcast is proudly partnered with Apogee Electronics and Odyssey Headphones, leaders in the field of audio.
And Screw Eyes is Krampus.
Holy shit! What is, everybody? Welcome back to Nerd on the Podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome. Yeah, I started at that level. You got to wake yourself up, baby.
Good God. People get like 15 seconds of like cold open theme and then
welcome. Well,
I mean, that's why we put the explosion at the end of our theme song is for Tom.
So just
in case he opens the show.
Opening the show.
It's just a leveling. Yeah.
But let's introduce the show. Let's munch on some brain grain, dial in your Wish radio, and let's head to the Museum of Natural History. Wink. Today, we roll back the rock to the dawn of time with this Thanksgiving film. Yes, a Thanksgiving film. We did it. We found the one movie.
Two. Trains, Planes, and Automobiles. We already covered it.
True. We have the second movie of all time. It's on Thanksgiving. With
There's even a
marquee
Thanksgiving hat.
Yes. Next year is Thanksgiving. And so we have our marquee topic, which is we're back at Dinosaur's Story. A dinosaur story.
A dinosaur story. Where they sell
DNA.
Thanksgiving hats.
A dinostory. Let's introduce the host. My name is Tom.
I'm Caitlin.
Ollie.
Corey.
And I am Josh, and this episode is brought to you in part, as always, by the members of the Nerd On Nation that is powered by Patreon. As a member of the Nerd On Nation, you do get fun perks, like you get early access to these episodes. You get bonus episodes that nobody else hears. You get access to secret channels on our Discord that are only open to Nerd On Nation members. You get what we call a Nerd On Nudge for our other weekly show, which is the Nerd On Update, in which you can send in your questions and they will be answered first. But yeah, so check out the Nerd On Nation. Do consider joining it. It does help us to grow and be the best that we can be. So yeah, nerdon.tv/Patreon. And a huge shout out to our partners, Apogee and Odyssey. Apogee have equipped us with these microphones, the Hype Mic. I cannot suggest the microphone enough. We've done it so much over the past few months because it has been such a helpful piece of gear that we all have. Streaming this show, everything that we do includes a microphone.
Are you a podcast? And did you have to start working from home?
Constantly, all of the time. The Hype Mic makes you sound real good.
Yeah,
that's what happened.
So it's a wonderful microphone. I do suggest it. And then also check out Odyssey headphones. We're currently using their LCD ones. If you're watching the video version, you can see them. They're nice and They're yummy, but they're also very comfortable and they sound wonderful. And as they have accepted officially our catchphrase, if your ears were mouths, they'd taste like butter because they are so yummy.
I think I peaked with that.
Yeah.
I think that's all downhill.
It's all downhill from there.
That's rough, buddy.
Yeah.
Yikes.
It's been a rough year.
Yeah, no.
That's
no,
fair.
I get it.
Getting better, though. Getting better.
I mean, while we're here, also a little bit of little more housekeeping. Do go over to our website, nerdon.tv. There is a tab over there that are our other partners. We have many of them, including Comixology, even Avid Pro Tools, Blueberry, who is our podcast media host. I suggest them highly. Amazon, all sorts of different things. HostGator.
That Christmas shopping coming up.
Yep, exactly. Newegg. We have a lot of partners, and when you do shop there, a little bit of every purchase goes to helping the show, and so it's a good time. Yeah, lots of good stuff. So go check out that website, nerdon.tv, and it has all of that.
No, you were already going to go to all those sites and shop anyway. But then if you click on our link and do your shopping anyhow, then you've like supported us without having to have done anything.
And then you get to go to sleep just enjoying that sweet caramel. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet,
like
sweet
you just
caramel.
get to roll around in it and be like,
karma.
Oh, this is nice. Wow.
Also check out the Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord. But that is all the upfront housekeeping. I'll have more at the end. But let us roll back the rock. Let's do the thing.
The dawn of time and sang that song. Sorry.
Like, that's just going to be no matter what.
No, That's not what this was.
I was missing for this one.
Okay. Thank you.
So that brings us to our first two segments of the show, which are going to be where we're going to, at the end of the show, it's kind of like a little bit of like the foreshadow, you know what I'm saying? The beginning kind of has something to do with the end. Because this is a completed film. It's one piece. So at the end of the episode, we're going to rate it. So that brings us to our first segment, which is...
Guess that grump.
Roll
You
that
guess the grump,
down
do
to
the
time.
grump,
Sing
grump,
this song
grump,
like we-
Grump out the grump. Grump back the grump. Grump back the grump.
Kissed by a grump on the
No.
way. Ooh, the more I get a grump of something, something.
Wow.
Grumpy.
So everyone who is brand spanking new to Nerd On, you're welcome for that. You could save that as a ringtone, but make sure you give us 10 cents for
Wow.
royalties.
And
Don't
I
just send it to us.
apologize
Don't-
for that.
Or just tell us about it. That'd be more.
I would love that as a ringtone.
Send the check.
I have to leave the room during that. Sorry, that was just
so-
too much for me.
Send the check. You're not ready for it. It's okay. Everyone,
wasn't.
4 out of 5 people who listen to the show aren't ready for it.
That's what they say about our show.
So Guess That Grump is a segment where we are going to go around the digital screens that we have because we're connected through the internet. And we're going to guess who's going to have the lowest score from 0 out of 5. No matter how high the number is, the lowest one will be the grump for the week. And since that always changes and there's never a script, Caitlin goes first.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be Ali
All right. Write that down.
for a variety of reasons, which I'll
The
talk
killer
about
of
later when
nostalgia.
he ends up being the grump.
Ollie, popcorn to you.
I'm gonna throw it up to Tom.
Tom. J'accuse. This is the film
That's
that I
actually-
suggested.
It's still a pretty good choice,
Doesn't-
though.
that's a misnomer. It's a misdirect. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, just wait till the initial reactions, then I'll tell you why
Tom?
you done fucked. I will
Oh.
guess Ali.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise. Everyone you'll see the Tom cinematic guessing universe of all of it's Ali all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Josh?
I am going to guess. I'm gonna take some. I'm gonna go to Caitlin. I'm gonna guess Caitlin.
Look at her. She's
What an interesting choice, Josh.
I also
I'm
guessed
offended,
Caitlin.
Josh.
she's like, I also wanted a Thanksgiving hat.
I did. Ever
So now
since
that
I've
all
heard of
those
it, it's
are
like
in-
all that's in my brain.
I've always
We have
wanted
one
a friend.
other. We have one other vote to add to this.
What is that, sir?
cacophony? I'm going to describe it as a cacophony of
Yes.
votes.
Okay.
If you want to participate in the Guess That Grumper Gatorade Guesser gluten-free
gluten-free?
grass-fed Grumper.
Nice.
Did I get it? Did I get most
Yes,
of it?
that's all of it.
Okay, cool.
Wow.
There'll be
then
more
you
soon.
can join the Patreon and become one of that
That thing.
yeah.
and participate in a poll of who you think will be the Grump, and you will get a shout out on the show if you are correct. The nation has spoken, by the way.
Spoken.
They
Oh,
have voted for Ali.
Surprise.
I will lead this Grump Nation beyond.
I will call it Alizikstan. Anyway.
He gives a speech. Grumpers.
So
Come with
that
me.
means that means
A new day.
Josh and I will be giving our ratings first, followed by Tom, followed by Caitlin, followed by Ali.
okay.
Gotham. Sorry.
Now go forth with the show.
So now we'll go into the complete spoiler of that beautiful segment, which is going to be our initial reactions and our first impressions. I'm going to go first and learn y'all some. So hold up, homie. Let's roll back
gosh.
the rock, real talk this time, and sang this song. Anyways, so back when I was a child,
Uh-oh.
like 3 days ago, you know what I'm saying, my older sister Tammy, we used to fucking watch the shit out of this. And you know what? We used to have like fucking,
Pretty intense
like
for
she
children.
used to have like, the Barbies and shit like that. And then I always just wanted to fucking skateboard on that shit. Because
You
of
want
this
to
movie.
skateboard on her Barbies?
On her Barbie cars. On her Barbie cars.
Oh, 'cause of this
I
movie,
see.
like
Because of
Rex.
this movie.
Discounts, right?
Trying
I
to
follow
stay
now.
out of spoiler
Oh.
territory. But just saying, this movie influenced me to do dumb shit.
I mean,
But
I would-
Inspired you.
yes.
what are we,
Yeah.
17 years past the release of this?
Also, that-
1993, yeah.
Hey, man, some people don't want to get spoiled this early.
That's fair.
You
Yeah.
know.
You shouldn't listen to the We're Back episode.
I know, right? So,
Not wrong.
so the other big thing too, and this is something I think my sister doesn't know, is back in my elementary school, we had one time, I remember, we had like a school sleepover and everyone slept in the gymnasium. And I remember at the time when I was a little elementary school, I had a quote unquote girlfriend, aka just a girl that you had a crush on, and then she had a crush on you, and you just would send notes to each other. Mm-hmm. And I remember we watched
my
this
wife
movie.
and I do still.
Must be nice.
God.
You go to a school gymnasium too?
That's all we do. Yeah.
And I remember we put our little sleeping bags together and we watched this movie. It was like my first ever date. And so this movie, for all its shortcomings, is such a nostalgia hit with the two pumps of man tears. And I'm like, I was watching this, getting prepared for this episode, and I was like, oh, feelings. And like, there's such a warmth.
Feelings?
There's such a warmth with this film that beyond a lot of its writing weirdness, it just kind of just throws in your face, and I could understand why kids loved it, and then adults at the time did not. But it also made me realize how much Steven Spielberg changed the industry, such in a big bad way, and I mean big bad way in a good way. And I was like, wow, like big bad is good. And so I was like, wow. So I rewatching it and watching it from my childhood. I won't say that there aren't rose-tinted glasses, but I definitely, as an adult, see things differently. But I will say, like, for me, like, I have a lot of friends who have kids now. Thanksgiving, pop this movie in. Don't listen to the critics; they're stupid. Who's next?
I'll go.
Tell me about it.
I typically don't listen to critics anyway, Tom, so it's perfect. Much like Tom, this is a nostalgia kick for me. I probably watched this on repeat for like a year and a half straight. I was telling everyone in the digital green room before we started that I was watching this the other night with my wife, and I sent a picture of it to my mom, and she like sent back lyrics. That's how much we watched it, is that she knew the songs. So it's like a warm blanket. Like this whole movie,
warm weighted blanket
is like a warm weighted blanket of just cozy holiday movie. For me, at least, I think I wasn't a kid. I was like also a kid who watched like Thriller when I was like 5 years old and was like, this is awesome.
I was too scared.
Yeah. So I've always liked a tint of like darkness in movies, which hasn't gone away today. The voice cast is obviously amazing. I mean, you have Walter Cronkite, you have Rhea Perlman, you have John
Julia
Goodman, and like, I just want to give a shout out to Roger Rabbit playing Dweeb in this, because I think that dude is so goddamn talented. And that song has stuck with me for 17 years now and hasn't gone away at all. Anytime I see anything related to this or the Macy's Day Parade, I will sing that song. So I love this movie. I think this is I think, Tom, you're right. When you're an adult and you watch, you go, oh, there are some things I may have overlooked when I was 6. But
maybe like one or two. Probably not that much.
It's not enough it doesn't take itself seriously enough to warrant those types of criticisms either. It's also very aware that it's like, yeah, these are talking dinosaurs. So
yeah.
What do you want? Anyway, that's my initial reaction.
Next.
Also, this came out the same year as Jurassic Park. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, and there's evidence in the movie.
And then years before it, Land Before Time came out before it. So dinosaurs.
I can go next.
Go ahead.
Please, I want to hear your initial reaction so bad.
Surprise, surprise, not something from my childhood. I actually didn't even know this existed until we were gonna
based off a book that I read
went on a schedule. Yeah, the book.
It's like you were in another country.
It's like Land Before Time was more my speed. You know,
that's fair.
As far as dinosaur
cartoons
movies go. But yeah, this was I definitely didn't know what to expect. Other than the sort of what the runtime kind of gave me. I was like 70 minutes. Okay. Like, what can we, I was like, okay, well, maybe it was like, a TV movie or whatever. Like I shouldn't judge it off the runtime. But I don't know. I kind of had a bunch of fun with this movie. It was sort of, yeah, it definitely has its sort of flaws,
Pitfalls,
quote unquote, as far as we'll dive into that a little bit more. But I don't know, there's something about the writing and the cast that just kind of clicked and it just worked, and it kept me engaged. And I really enjoyed John Goodman's portrayal of the T-Rex.
John Goodman.
I wish there was a bit more to it, as far as like we'll go into like the parts, our favorite parts and stuff like that. But like some of my favorite parts were the parts that weren't like as expansive in this movie. I'm like, oh, like if there was a sequel or like one of those like Disney spin-off type situations, like it would have been kind of cool to explore some more of these characters. But as far as like what it is, and it being like a Thanksgiving movie, and it kind of nailing New York City as far as I'm considered, and that's the kind of beauty of movies like this. And I'm sure we'll draw comparisons to like Ants versus Bugs and things like that when it comes to like what DreamWorks does in comparison to Disney, and what the freedoms that I think they are given a little bit more versus over at Disney, and sort of how that changes up sort of the conversation when you compare all these different animated works. But overall, I really I enjoyed it. It was a good watch.
The interesting thing about that, I think you can look into, and you'll see it. It's not that you're not aware of it. Is the Don Bluth era, like the Don Bluth era, and then how that changed things. Because it's not so much like studio to studio, but it's more like who were the premier like animators.
But looking at it, but like technically speaking, 70 minutes, like they accomplish a lot for 93 and like what they were able to pull off, and some of the like there's like CG and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this isn't something to just like scoff at and turn away from. There's something going on here.
Sure.
Some kind of suicide squad.
Suicide Squad.
Who's next?
That would be me.
All right.
Yeah, this is a movie from my childhood as well. It's something that so 1993, I was 40 years old, and no, just kidding.
Well, my timeline seems right. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. No, this is one of those movies that I remember watching a million times as a kid, and then my little brother was born that year, so within a few years we were watching it together, and I tended to be my brother's babysitter, and so we would basically just put on a movie and probably watch it over and over in one night. Just keep watching it. I hadn't seen it, and when we were preparing for this episode, I hadn't seen the movie in so long, and I just kind of like, it was such a blast from the past watching it again of like, oh yeah, then there's that. And then like the things that this movie, the cast for me is just, it ranks up there in my heart of like, I mean, you do have people like John Goodman and Rhea Perlman and
Short, baby.
Kenneth Mars, Martin Short. If for me, like Martin Short is just like he holds a very special place in my heart, and the like the comedians and actors that I love. But Kenneth Mars is like a legend. I mean, with like Mel Brooks and stuff like that. So I mean, it's such a fun
Walter fucking Cronkite, man.
Yeah, I know, Walter Cronkite.
That's the way it is.
But yeah, it's a wonderful movie that watching it again, I was like, there's just so many things that I love about it. So let's.
If I can add just like a quick like outside observation of like someone who hasn't grown up with this, I can see totally how this would be something that I'd be into when I was a kid. And then it's interesting that like, because like when I was a kid, I probably wouldn't have known any of these cast members, like the actors. And then growing up, you kind of maintain a little bit of that respect for it, because now all of a sudden you know who the actors are, and you know the people that went into it and kind of what it represented for the industry, and you kind of maintain that respect for it. So it's interesting to see like your fandom of something just kind of change its sort of what it's based on, so to speak, but maintain that sort of. And I think that kind of negates the whole rose-tinted glasses argument of like, no, this is like, there is something to this. It's not just a happy memory,
Yeah. Like I had no idea growing up that Lisa Simpson was
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
In it. And then as I got older, I was like, this cast is amazing.
Yeah, when I heard that voice, I'm like, I know that voice. And I'm like, wow. Caitlin?
I realized I would like to make a public request.
Oh, okay.
Can we do a Three Amigos episode?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
of
shit.
course.
Now you put it in the episode. We have to do it. You piece of shit. Not like any other business decision.
That's why you did
Hey,
it. Now we
Josh,
have
can we
it.
do Dragon Ball Z
It's like
tomorrow?
gonna wait until
we do
we're
the
like
Prestige?
Did I say
on a,
tomorrow,
on a panel at a con.
There can be an appropriate amount of time between.
2 days from now. Yeah.
So I'd
Three
like to make
Amigos
a
for sure.
public request for Rurouni Kenshin. As soon
Yeah,
as we
that's
can.
only been happening for the last 3 years.
Next
so
week.
maybe no.
Do
look
a
for it
mega
next
episode
week, y'all.
of all the
We're already
Saw
doing a mega
movies.
episode coming up soon.
Hey, shush, but I made it public. So
Oh, okay, got it.
Anyways,
That's fair.
Caitlin, please. Please.
So I watched this movie as a kid, and the main things I remember about it are
Roll back the rock.
Crowman, monkey stuff.
Mhm.
So the terrifying.
Yeah, I remember
Monkey
the
business.
scary
the
stuff.
third act.
Yeah, I remember the third act of the movie.
The things that
And that's
woke you up
kind
at
of
night.
it. That was basically it. So watching this again I was like, well, I'm sure I'll like it the second time
And
around.
then non-flashbacks.
And then
to
I
all the
watched
terrible
it. And
things.
it's kind of was. I was like million miles there. I'm like, what did I watch as a child? What was this movie?
Nothing, Caitlin.
And at the end of it, I just over and over again, I was like, what was that about? What was that movie about? And then I was like really trying hard to think on like, what's the moral of the story for We're Back, a Dinosaur Story? And there's not one.
There is.
There is one, and there's one that I want to pose as a discussion topic or a question more of, if this might be it.
Let's wait till after this, because that's when we can get to bigger conversation.
Yeah.
Because there are things that where I start
There's a
asking
couple.
those kind of questions.
But I did like the art, the voices, how everything came together. I really enjoyed, but I have so many questions.
Let's do
I
it.
chose
So she didn't
So
like
many
appropriately.
questions.
I
So
chose
she didn't like the
appropriately.
movie. Moving on.
Maybe you don't know. She rates high even when she's questions.
she didn't
Yeah.
say I like the movie at all. So
Not yet.
so no, too bad.
Not yet.
Reveal.
So
I can do whatever I want, Tom. You know my mom.
look, if we
You
can
made
answer
the
questions,
rule.
she may like the movie. Look,
I
it's a
never
gray
made that
area.
rule.
It's a gray area.
It's a gray area until I
it
said
could
it
change.
at a
It could
moment's
change.
notice.
We could or we could not answer questions you have. Who knows?
Who could say? Not me.
Moving on to the next two segments, our brief synopsis, and then our
I
production.
wrote one.
So go ahead, Corey.
I
Give us
wrote
our
my
brief
own
synopsis.
brief synopsis.
Wow.
Non-spoilery still.
Yeah,
Sit back,
Future Man makes past dinosaurs smart and brings them to present day New York. Future Man's past brother tries to reverse Future Man's work. Will he succeed, or will the kids intervene and the crows will take matters into their own hands?
Oh my god.
Wow. Did you just throw that?
Perfect.
Yeah, I hear it.
Oh man, that is like the most before when we could go to the theaters and they have like, this is the plot. What movie
Yeah.
is this? That's exactly what that was.
I feel
Also,
like
based
that's-
on that, it needs to be like a 3-hour long like Peter Jackson movie.
Oh my God.
to explain what rocks look
I
like.
can't decide if that's someone who is like really excited about their job writing summaries for movies or someone who's just like given up and it was the end of the week and they still had one movie to write about and they're just like,
I think it was a guy
Whatever.
who wanted to do comedy, but then got stuck writing synopsis for kids' films.
I think I should call. I think I should call Screen Rant because that's the kind of writing caliber they need. Anyway,
my
so
God.
now our
Thanks, Tom.
production. Hey, I'm saying it's a good thing.
Would you like some production? Because I have some.
Yeah, give us
Serve
some
it up right
production.
now. All right. So it was distributed by Amblin Entertainment, who did Cats, Gremlins, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. The directors, because there are multiple,
The butthole
is
cut.
Dick Zondag, who did Reboot, Ralph Zondag, who did Dinosaur, Phil Nebelink, who did American Tail, Fievel Goes West, Puss in Boots, and Simon Wells, who did Balto, The Prince of Egypt, and The Time Machine. Balto,
Balto's so good,
baby.
y'all. We should do
We're-
Balto.
Yeah, we gotta
Public
have to
announcement.
do.
Can we do an episode on Balto?
Also, public
yeah.
announcement. Can we do a Michael
Public
Caine versus
request.
American Tail? Fievel Goes West.
Request. The answer is yes. Producer is Steve Hickner, who did American Tail, Fievel Goes West, Balto, which we're going to do an episode on now, and Joseph, King of Dreams. The writer is John Patrick Shanley, who did Moonstruck, The January Man, and Doubt. And then this is actually based on a book by Hudson Talbot. The cast. There's a list here. John Goodman from The Big Lebowski, Monsters, Inc., and The Artist. Blaze Birdall from Ghost Rider, Pet Sematary, DC Super Friends. Rhea Perlman, The Mindy Project, Me and My Grandma, Robot and Monster. Jay Leno from Juwanna Man, Space Cowboy, The Fairly Odd Parents. Renee Levant from The Flintstone Kids, Generations, The Young and the Restless. Felicity Kendall from Good Neighbors, Solo, Rosemary and Thyme. Charles Fleischer. Name's hard, sorry. Charles Fleischer from Zodiac, The Polar Express, and Rango. Walter Cronkite from Armstrong Circle Theater. Murphy Brown, Liberty's Kids, estimated 1776. Joey Shea from Ghost Rider, One Life to Live. The Friendliest Five. I scrolled. Julia Child from The Rosie O'Donnell Show. Julie and Jack cooking at home in Julia's kitchen with master chefs. Kenneth Mars from The Land Before Time. Malcolm in the Middle. Simon and Simon. Yeardley Smith from Dharma and Greg. The Simpsons. Herman's Head. And Martin Short from The Cat in the Hat. Knows a lot about that. Jungle to Jungle. This was released.
I have to have Jungle to Jungle.
This was released.
Can I ask you a question?
The film
Tom.
you pick.
With Kenneth Mars, why wouldn't you put The Little Mermaid or any of the Mel Brooks? Like,
Because he does the
deep
ones.
cuts.
Yeah.
I have to do the ones that make you be like, okay, Robert Downey Jr. from, I'm not going to put any Iron Man. Like, you have to know him from other things too.
Like listen to what he did for Rhea Perlman.
That's true.
She was in Cheers.
That's very true.
She was in what's the Matilda? She was in like
I know.
You know what's hard though is like for people like me who don't know these deep cuts, like if you gave me one example of something that I might have known them from, then I'd be like, oh, it's them. And then the deep cuts are like, oh, I've never heard of that. I should look that up. But instead it's all deep cuts, so I'm never going to know who they are.
The weird thing, so I get these also, so I picked 3 from IMDb, right? And IMDb has the top 4 of what they should be known for. And sometimes they're not like really, I'm like, I'll scroll through and it'll be like, okay, they're known for, the X-Files, or they're known for, what the hell? It's Doctor Strange. It's Benedict Cumberbatch. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, guys, like they'll do that stuff every once in a while, but I'm just like, so I sometimes have to code through it, and sometimes I'm like, all right, let me just put in the ones that no one knows about. So they're like, oh, let me try that.
You're learning us some stuff, Tom.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. The release date was November 24th of 1993. The runtime is 71 minutes. The budget is not listed, but the gross was $9.3 million. The Rotten Tomatoes score is a 38% from 16 users and a 49% audience score from 17,374 users. That gives you any frame of reference.
A little bit. So now
it went up a little.
We're in spoiler full timeline. We're not in the Cretaceous spoiler free world.
Cretaceous.
Not just say Future Man and Future Man's past.
We're in middle future timeline.
Cretaceous.
Middle future.
The Jurassic Statious.
Just picking words, stitching them together.
Just adding Statious
this
to the
will
end
be
of
a
it.
word
Exactly.
today.
I'm Grumpastacious. So now we'll go into our favorite parts, favorite characters, our qualms, and then finally our rating. I want to hear these question thingies you guys had at the top. Caitlin and Ollie or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Ollie, you go first.
Well, it wasn't really a question. It was more kind of like, it was just at the very end of it, the moral of this. I guess it would maybe be more of a qualm, but not really a qualm. It's just more of like the end moral. He says a line that I had to actually, it was really hard to understand because like Rex, I think, also roars right in the middle of it.
Oh.
But he says like, don't be another slob like stinking up the world or something. And I'm like, is this the moral? Is this where like, is Rex like a schlub or like a lazy person? And
are you talking about when they're at the carnival or at the circus?
Is that
and
the
he's
very
trying to
end
talk
where
him
they're
down?
Or no, when he was about to bite.
Yeah,
the kid. Don't be just another
eyes.
When he was like hugging his leg and saying that.
Don't be a schlub.
That's not
It was like,
really
is this like an allegory for like being some kind of criminal? Like, you know what I mean?
So to both points, and Caitlin was like, what's the movie about? So I ask this question all the time of like movies like, but what's it about? And it's like, oh, well, Captain America fights Hydra. But what's it about? Like, is it just good guys fight bad guy? And then I hear also the secondary question is, what is the artist trying to say? So you can ask that question for, let's say, V for Vendetta, right?
what's it about? You know, like it's about, freedom and liberty fighting against fascism. But what's the artist trying to say? That freedom and liberty beat fascism. So it's like you kind of get lost of like asking those two questions back to back. So like a good thing you can ask is like Birdman, a movie that shout out to my boy Isaac, always says that it's a movie that finger wags in people's faces and he hates it, and I fucking hate him and I love him at the same time. Anyways, Birdman, what's it about? It's about the movie industry and like stardom and celebrity and how consumerism has kind of destroyed the art. And then, but what's the artist trying to say? Is they're more saying kind of like the kind of the cautionary tale of our perceived success is pretty much our own downfall, and it causes us to harm ourselves and other people around us. So it's there's separate subtexts in a rated G children's animated film in 1993. I don't know if they're doing that other than being like, look at the dinosaur man.
See, that's what I'm saying,
movie.
Though.
Yeah, I was like,
what's
okay,
it about?
He's kind of like he's like a smooth talking little kid. Anyway, so like maybe it's just how he speaks.
The one thing I would say that the movie is about is probably is pretty much the wish machine versus the scare machine or the fright radio. Like
for me, it's about connection and friendship. I mean, that's what it comes down to. There were two runaways who joined the circus and are basically indoctrinated, and Rex and the other dinosaurs, through friendship, give themselves up to free the kids. The kids come back to rescue them, and what happens with the kids? They're no longer runaways, right? They keep their friendship. They reunite with their families. They keep
to
in
your
touch
point,
with
like
the dinosaurs.
I don't know if it like needed like a heavy-handed moral story or like it wasn't like thinly veiled or anything. It was easy to kind of exactly what Corey just sort of mentioned, but it was just interesting that line because the other thing about the runtime is
don't take what you got for granted.
They have to be kind of quick with some of these things, and sometimes they ends up being like on the nose. I don't know if it was like an on the nose sort of moral thing in addition to.
Well, no, I mean to Caitlin's point, it's kind of like what's it about? And so I want to just talk real quick because I said this before the episode started. I would love to be in the fucking pitch room for this. Either that or Universal was like, give it to him. He did John. Give him the movie. Because it's like I feel like this would happen because it's like, okay, homie. So we're gonna have
Future
kids.
Man makes dinosaurs.
Kids with dinosaurs. Okay, how are we gonna get the dinosaurs? There's gonna be a smart ass dude. Is he an alien? No, he's a human, but
he's from the future.
Who knows when? Because his radio says future, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense if that was his own time is relative. But it's like, okay, so we made a gajillion dollars with brain grain. Okay, cool. That's tight. He's got an alien homie though. Okay. So he takes these dinosaurs and puts them into middle future. And I'm like, okay. And so you got these kids, and who's the antagonist? His
Tom, what
brother.
if his timeline is just going from the Big Bang on? And that's how he decides what's future, past, present.
But that would also say that there is an endpoint.
Well, also, what's the scale? Because like apparently it's 65 million between then and middle future, and then from middle future to like, is that another 65?
He has a machine that
years?
bubbles out wishes, Ollie. What do you want?
Exactly.
What do you want?
I want future dinosaurs from 65 million years in the future. That's what I want.
It bubbles out wishes.
My thing is just like, and then we're gonna get James Horner to write this song, and it's gonna be baller. But then also like there's brain drain. Oh, okay, with the brain, I see. Like I would just love to be in the pitch room for that. Like this is like the most fever
and since it's
dream
a kids movie. We can't show them taking pills.
Exactly, or how the girl hurts herself. You show someone hurting him, but you can't see her inflicting self-harm. Which is like, so it's like there's so much that happens in this movie. Like, I'm just like, just the premise of like, we got to get these dinosaurs to these kids for some reason. I'm just like, this is
drop them out of a spaceship on the Hudson. Drop them out of a spaceship on the Hudson.
I watched this like 3 times in prep for this, and I was just like, what the fuck is happening half the time?
Yes. Okay. All right. Hey,
so
that
good.
thought right there. Just hang on to that thought for a moment.
All right, pitch it to us, Caitlin. What do you got?
Because, okay, sorry. There are just so many questions flying around in my brain. So it starts off with golfing on what you later find out is a rooftop golfing course in the middle of
Museum of
New York.
Natural History.
On the Museum of Natural History this is the first time he's talked to this bird, even though he's obviously been around this golf course 1,000 times. And then
the bird's new though. He's a baby.
He's baby, but he probably like knows his family or something. Anyway, that's completely besides the point. There's just it was so hard for me to
Caitlin, roll back the rock to the dawn of time
I
and
hate
sang this
that
song.
you're doing this to me because it's actually really appropriate.
Finish your...
I had a question at every turn of this movie. Every turn. Like, in a way where it actually made it entertaining. Like, like, I'm stuttering for words because it was literally like every 5 seconds I had a new question of like, why is that happening though? Like, they didn't need to like make them stop eating other dinosaurs and make them smart so that they can just feed them hot dogs. Like, they didn't want to make them vegetarian or something. They're just like, no, eat this meat instead, but be smart and sit by the little bubbly campfire and eat our hot dogs. And then it was like, okay. And then it's like, yeah, kids want dinosaurs, so I'm God, basically, and I'm just going to drop you on a river. You'll figure it out. I'm not going to give you any warning.
He's Deus Ex Machina machine, which is
right. Sorry. I mean, close enough. But then he's like, I'm just going to plop you in some water. Don't worry, this old lady's going to show up. She has no brain for time and is probably not going to be there with you. But you get to meet a homeless child, so that's fun. Not homeless, actually. He's just running away. And he has the coolest raft in the world with like a Rube Goldberg machine that he built on it.
Raft?
How long has he been gone? Why has he been gone from his parents for probably at least a week to build this?
Well, it shows how
raft.
Smart he is.
He's super smart.
He made a Rube Goldberg machine on a boat.
And then like, okay, Cecilia and the family photo of like Family Day, and they got it framed.
I fucking love that.
They got it framed in black and white to be like, hey, remember that time we never showed up for Family Day and you were alone at that table?
Yeah.
Let's get that framed.
Like, it's just like insult to injury.
Yes.
I think it just shows how detached they are. They were like, oh, look, a picture of our daughter.
Yeah, they literally sent her wish you were here in their bikini smiling. Instead of a phone call being like, hey, we miss you.
And
so
like there was no point. And like Screw Eyes, when they get to the circus, and then he's like, I want, people like being scared. I want to, scare them. The blood contracts are bad. Let's take a moment and say the blood contracts are bad.
She knew. She knew.
But they knew. He did warn them that like things weren't, and they didn't even ask about there being an empty contract. They're just like, okay.
He did.
He said there's nothing on it, but he didn't ask like, okay, what happens if I sign it?
Okay, Kaylin, if everyone said that in every movie, then yeah, like there's always non-logic.
My guess it was just like
the answer
join the circus is what he was.
They really wanted to go to the circus.
The answer to that, he's like, I like to keep it simple, and then like fucking, kids are like,
all right,
whatever.
I do this and I'm in the circus.
But like, do you see how passionate I'm getting about this? This made
strangely yes
more strangely yes.
This is why I said she didn't like it.
It's not that I didn't like it. I did like it, but I liked it for the fact that I was just like mind blown of how. Like the movie is just having fun. The movie is just having a good time. You're either on board to have fun with the movie or you're not. Those are like the camps that you can be in. You can be like, this movie makes no sense. There's no moral. What's happening? It looks really nice and sounds really great. What is happening though? Or you could be like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm having a good time.
I feel like there's for sure a moral. It's just like the thing is like we get stuck with an analogy a lot of the times, and like with cartoons and analogies, don't do it. Just everyone don't fucking do it. Like it just does not fucking work ever. But I do want to hear some favorite parts. So Josh, how about you kick it off?
Yeah.
Actually, funny enough, it's the the third act, the carnival scene. Like I just remember, I remember as a kid being like scared. There are rather some terrifying moments, and Screw Eyes is terrifying at times. But I loved the show, and then just like the colors, the green and all that kind of stuff. But probably my absolute favorite is when the clown Martin Short goes has his
goes
when
off.
he quits.
Yeah, when he quits.
See why I'm talking and they're laughing?
It's called comedy. I love Martin Short. So just having him kind of lose his, and also be lifted up because his routine, I mean, it's not really a routine. He's just talking and he's getting
He's naturally funny. That's
Yeah.
what it's showing, is that he didn't even need a routine to be funny.
So I love that part. Next
Corey?
person.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, that was going to be one of my favorites. But how do you not like the Macy's Day Parade?
Roll
That
back
is-
and rock.
The fact that they first are walking, and if you look at Rex, he's doing this like animatronic like
Oh yeah.
walk, which I thought was fucking awesome. And then he just sees the kids from the Wishes, and he's like, all right, let's do this thing. I think that is such a fantastic song for a kids movie. I think it's a lot of fun. The Spider-Man bit and the seeing the other dinosaur bit was fantastic. Like we're shaking the hand of the Brontosaurus, which is funny because there is a Brontosaurus in the book, a character that they took out. So it's a little nod to like, we get what we did.
I want to talk
thought it was
about that song
fantastic.
real quick.
Yeah.
So we talked about the audience and critic score and all that stuff. So one Roger
yeah.
Ebert said
One
about that
Roger
song.
Ebert.
He said, Roger and Ebert, right? But one that blogosphere who got a Pulitzer for exceptional criticism wrote, "Wow,
award, bro.
finally a song that I could have written and performed better." And I was like, "My God,
Wow.
What a fucking ego that guy has.
And I was like, Jesus. And so to me, this is why I'm like, these are your critics. That's your king. That's your that's your critic. That's your score. That's how you guys are going to base your score off of. Cool. And then all the other criticisms are all, it's not a kid's movie. It's too scary. That is 70% of all the critical like negativity. It's too scary for a kid's
y'all need to
movie.
respect your kids more.
And I'm just like, okay, so you know, like I think some people, Caitlin, you were talking about like how you remember Screw by Balls, Crowmans, and Ape Thing. As a kid, those never like terrified me, but as a kid, I was kind of like, oh, this is the bad part of the movie because like bad things happen, it's not fun's happening anymore. But this is like when I was like fucking like 3 or 4 years old, and so like.
Those are still my favorite animals.
But the thing is, like like we talked about earlier, I was scared of Thriller. I've said I was scared of Nightmare Before Christmas. Like, but that was not scary to me because I knew the bad guy was going to die, and so I was like, cool. This is the bad feeling you're supposed to have, so that when they win, it feels a lot better. So it's really weird that like adults be like, that's too scary for kids.
It's interesting because my immediate thought when I saw that, because that's also one of my favorite parts, Josh, is just that whole end scene and how kind of like demented it starts getting. But what is Pleasure Island, right? And Pinocchio? That was like the immediate comparison that I drew. And I was like,
that's a really good
that
comparison.
terrified me when I was a kid. And like, I don't give Pinocchio a low score. So it's interesting to hear that. And that specific critique.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, we'll have qualms about things later on, but like,
have those critics seen Pinocchio and still say it's a kid's movie? They smoke cigars in that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
These are like
children
donkeys. They
smoke
turn into
full cigars.
These
It's
are
the
my
same thing. They turn to
They go,
monkeys.
"That's
They
a
turn
kid's
into
movie."
donkeys.
Yeah.
To me, the thing is like they're all on January 1st of 2000, so you could tell like all of them were assigned this movie. And so,
this
like, you
year?
obviously did not want to watch this movie.
It's the liquor that makes them turn into a donkey. So it's like
Wait,
drinking.
all of the reviews were from January
Not all
this
of
year?
them. I'm paraphrasing, but most of them were from it. And I'm just like, all you guys were assigned this, and none of you wanted to do this. Like,
Wow.
and that's why I'm like the mystique of critics trying to save you money is like just to me a load of crock sometimes.
Because they're
like,
getting paid to do it. They don't necessarily want to do their
And,
job.
like,
I
there
say go
are
watch the
good
shit you want to watch.
I think there are
Make your
good
own
critics, but they
opinions.
have to be someone that's actually invested in those kind of storytelling. And like that's a broad statement for me to draw upon, but it's like I don't.
Ebert?
To me, there are bigger offenders of like too scary for kids, but even then, like I don't know.
Well,
like,
also the
fucking get
whole
them-
like reverse side of saving somebody money. It's also removing them, not taking away the chance of them to discover something that they didn't know they might have loved.
Yeah.
So I don't
RoboCop is
buy
PG.
that. Saving money then.
Guys.
Anyone else? Favorite parts?
Yeah, I got
more, but-
I'll do some favorite parts and we'll kick it back to Ollie and Caitlin because they haven't gone through theirs. For me, anytime fucking Professor New Eyes or Miracle Eyes, Wish Eyes, his name, like he anytime he's on screen at the beginning part and anytime he's talking, he's just like,
these are wishes. And you know who dreams the loudest or who wish the loudest are young people. And it's like, I love that he doesn't say kids. He says young people.
Yeah.
And like, yes, these kids, like, I'm Cecilia and I'm sad, so I'm going to go with this guy who just appeared on the balcony like Aladdin. And I'm just like, that's kind of
pterodactyl.
But also, you are alone and your parents aren't even there to fucking stop you. And even if they were, they probably wouldn't fucking notice you were gone. So like, yeah, sure, fucking go. And then there's like Louis who's just like, yeah, I'm the original tough guy and my parents, blah. And I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Like he's seeking independence. He's a little dumb and young. He's like a little Inuyasha. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God.
And like the kids have their own faults, but they're not fucking too stupid. They're like, hey, problems are happening. Meet us at Central Park. Hey,
Tom liked that kid stood up to the 3 punks in the park.
Well,
of course.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But then I like, you know, he sees a hat and he was like, hold on, gotta make a stop. I'm like, wow, what a fucking like good guy. Like
good ass dude.
He knew like that's not cool. I have to give something back to the people. And like there are those kind of things like that why kids work for me in this movie versus other movies where they're just like, I don't know, fucking blinking each eye at different times. I'm just like, guys, come on, fucking get it together. But these kids were like, yeah. And then like, you know, obviously you have the, you know, bullheaded masculine Louis like, I'm just gonna sign a contract. It's all gonna be all right. So he's like,
no,
you dumb son of a bitch. Like,
but I'm in this.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cecilia for like knowing what she wants and going and getting it.
Yeah.
Which was Louis.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And she wished so
for
hard
her.
for no bad to happen. I was just like, no, I
Let
like that.
no bad happen.
I loved that.
It was.
I think it's something I've always. Someone said this to me once, and I can't remember who it was, but I've done it for like probably 10 plus years now. Is someone said that on when they make wishes on anything, they always their one wish is for the best.
Yeah.
What's your wish? I just wish for the best. And so watching this now, having practiced that for 10 years was really, it's like the same kind of message, let no bad happen. I was just like, that's fantastic.
I like because Professor New Eyes comes in and he says like, oh, I heard your wish. And I was like, oh, wow, fucking, where are you at, Santa? Where are you at?
She wished
Santa
pretty
Claus,
hard
you
for
slacking. Maybe he's Santa. Maybe he's like, holy shit.
And Screw Eyes is Krampus.
Holy shit.
Oh no, this is really a Christmas
Spielberg,
movie.
send the
Twist.
check. We have the remake for you.
Wow.
But anyways, Ollie, Kaylin, favorite parts?
Yeah, my favorite part is just is the end sequence. That whole them like scaring the patrons even and like they're so like actually
The hair falling
my
out.
absolute favorite
Oh
part
my
is
God,
the different
Loved that.
is the different scare reactions from the audience, like the
Her hair turning white and then falling out.
yeah, like when the chains, removing the chains from the T-Rex and then like the hair like escaping.
One of my favorite
that lady's
parts is
head.
when the ghoul comes down and he's like, here's your mask. Puts his mask back on.
Just to like zoom in on his face as he realized he doesn't have his mask.
I was watching and I was just like, this is Hollywood Horror Nights.
Yeah.
That's what this is. I was like,
That's the thing,
wow.
like those sequences and like the chase sequence in New York City with Rex on the truck, like as he's skating around on top of the Brooklyn Bridge and then like coming back. I was like, this has some interesting scope and scale and some really interesting camera moves. Like there's some good camera
it's
work.
cinematic as
Like
fuck.
super cinematic. And like there was a moment where they like, I think they immediately fly away and then like the camera follows the hat falling down and like just the swell of the music.
girl.
Thanksgiving hat.
And I was like, there's some low key, not even low key, it's like some straight up like warmth in this, just like in there throughout the entire.
I guarantee you Spielberg was like, yo, Amblin animation, Amblination was like, we ain't gonna do this bullshit, you know, static camera shit. We gotta parallax as much as we fucking can.
Go
And like
everywhere.
that's how
That
what happens
fight
when he picks up Buster from the fucking little golfing hole. It's like, I was like, oh my God. Like,
and to be fair, like it's not to to play both sides or whatever. Like it's not perfectly executed or whatever, but they're just really well done and they're ambitious. And
it was for 93.
Yeah.
Like
when it was all still mostly hand done.
Like the big deal, like for me, was like to that point of like you could see what they were trying to do, and like holy fuck, how hard it is. Because you know, people who are listening, I don't know if you guys know a lot about animation. I'm going to say this for people who fucking know, so bear with me. Like, there's a difference between the key animations and the background shit. So like having to animate in between those things, like when Louis looking at all the fucking like cranks for all the for the crane, like all that's background. So like that's why none of it's highlighted and you don't see him actually touching it. It just fucking zooms in like frenetically. Same thing when Elsa flies into the building. They fucking I feel I
They
don't know what
zoomed
it's called.
right?
What's it called?
I just said zoom.
Oh,
they
it's like
zoomed it.
rotoscoping it. Yeah, but it's
Rotoscope,
like
yeah.
when they input the actual image that they're actually going to use inside of it, and they zoomed it into it. And I was like, holy shit! Like they're doing all the quote unquote like no budget stuff in order to make sure you have that illusion of like
that's some like good technique. That office fly scene, I imagine, is probably a long piece of artwork that had that perspective built into it, and then you just moved the camera from left to right and then animated her to kind of sell the perspective.
Which makes animating so much harder because like when you're on, like Tom's point, when you're on a flat background that doesn't change, you just have to, animate in between movements. You do a hand moving like this or whatever. But when the background's shifting, you're shifting perspective every frame as well.
You're supposed to change your perspective of your animation to sell the
and they do that a lot in that chase scene. Like so when Dweeb is on his own cart and like they do one where it's like he's coming towards the camera and the camera stays with him and then the camera loses him. I'm like, my goodness.
Dweeb and Woog.
Dweeb, Woog, Rex,
the cracks
and Elsa.
are when like
I'm Woog.
Is when it does like a super smooth like pan, but then like the animation they can only afford like 3 poses during that as it goes. That's when those are the sort of like it's not perfect parts that I'm talking about, but that's super forgivable.
Pushing this, what happens when you push the envelope, baby?
I do. I want to give a little shout out for
Thanksgiving hat.
The Thanksgiving hat always. But they had a lot of very sweet little moments with animation that they didn't have to do, but they did. With like Rex using the golf club to get the bird back up on the tree, like while they're talking. That wasn't like they didn't need to go do that. But they did. And like when Dweeb, I forget what happens, like Louis like smacks Dweeb's tail and it starts like spinning and then they put it in the water and that's what like propels the boat around. Like they have so many great little moments like that that they didn't need to animate, but they did. I feel like animation wise, they went so far above and beyond of what they needed to do to make it feel like warm and fuzzy at times. And also with the Dr. Screw Eyes Carnival, that hydraulic professor.
He's a professor.
It's a circus.
I'm sorry.
He didn't go to 8 years of professor school to be called doctor.
I'm sorry, doctor, whatever. But the hydraulic like gesture entrance thing, I was so blown away by that. That was so cool. And like that entire show, the production value.
You would want to go.
Like
the production value in and out of universe.
Out of universe.
Amazing.
But like, and also I like big shout out to the guy running the like sound.
Oh yeah.
It was just like, he obviously loves his life. He has the best job in the entire world. He's a Twitch streamer.
Oh, he was in it.
It is so hard. And that like makes you think like Screw Eyes is probably like yes, he's blood contracting
but
children
he's probably paying
to be
him
part of
well.
the circus, but he's paying him well. Like the clown is like sad, but he hasn't left, even though he's like he's not feeling fulfilled because he works for a cranky old man. But
for Brad in the Discord, could be the move. So
point out that I love that he keeps the makeup on. Even though he technically is wearing like a full body suit.
Oh my god,
scare people.
Yeah.
To that point of the animation when they went above and beyond. One thing I like as an adult really struck me was like I remember like Rex as a kid. I fucking loved Rex, and I remember like how stupid does he look sometimes, like with his eyeballs close together. I'm like that's not how T-Rex looks. And then I remember how in the beginning of the film they show how he looks like before. And when he grows and when he gets smarter,
a sharp tooth.
His eyes like get closer. I'm like, that's so cool. Like the intelligence changes the evolution of the dinosaur, which they're not anatomically correct based on the fucking findings of that time frame.
It's basically like they start here and then they go up here.
Yeah.
Dweeb's transformation's the funniest.
Oh,
He has the most violent like facial like stretches.
I love it.
Any other favorite parts before we go into the next segment?
Yeah, the relationship between Rex and
Louis.
was the pterodactyl.
Oh, Elsa.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was so
Very
uncomfortable.
strange.
Loved
By
it.
the
He's
way,
like,
make me want to lay an egg.
Immediately.
And he's
I was
just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's
for her.
okay. That's
But then I also like how, like, proper, she is. And it's like that kind of very coyness of like, oh, no one's ever made me blush before. It's like, huh, I like that. She's like, because, Louis calling her a bat the entire time. And then she's like,
Yeah.
I'm a pterodactyl. And if part of me, so
I like she gets her revenge on Louis flying through the city.
the funny thing, Josh, any other favorite parts?
Anytime that Dr. Bleeb, I think is her name, is Julia
Julia
Childs. I just like just the
go get the
kooky,
dinosaurs.
Focuses her glasses
Yeah.
on the
Love her.
always missing
Cranes
them,
and
and
stuff.
like there was one like talking about like animation and just kind of the skewed reality. I love that there's this they're looking at the sign that is Screw Eyes Carnival thing. And then they leave, and you're still on the poster. And she comes in, and she just with one brush just puts up her poster. And I'm like, I love animation.
You can't
It's
miss
so
that.
cool.
Yeah.
Never skimp on promotion.
Promotion, yeah. I love that. I was like, wow. Like, I fucking love Julia Child as a human being. And so
Yeah.
just having her being on a moped.
The fact that you put the Rosie O'Donnell show as one of her credits is fucking hilarious.
Oh my god.
Known from the Rosie O'Donnell show. She's Julia Childs.
Any other favorite parts before we move on?
I could keep going.
I can keep going. I just want to make
all
sure
of them,
we're
but, like,
timely. We can go. We'll do favorite part. We'll do favorite characters, and we'll sprinkle in whenever we can. Who wants to go first? Favorite characters. We'll do top two.
Josh wants to go first.
I
does.
I
I
do.
see it.
I need to go first, and I like Rex and Dr. Bleeb. Yeah. I'm committing.
Okay.
I'm committing.
Okay. Yeah. No more. Can't break the rule.
I'm not allowed to say anything else.
Go ahead, Corey.
Nope, that's it.
For me, it's how do you not like Rex in this movie? And Stubbs the clown. Stubbs. I know.
No, Josh.
I was
Josh.
prepared to say the reason I gave it to you, Josh, is because I thought you were going to say it, and I was just going to ditto it. But Stubbs comes in late in the film, but boy does he hit hard.
Caitlin?
That's my real answer, but I was already talking about Dr. Bleeb, and she was on my mind.
I love how he already
done.
said I'm not allowed to say anything else, and then
I'm always going to.
The defense rests. Caitlin or Ollie?
Ollie.
Mine is Rex, number one. And then I actually really like Captain New Eyes. That was the part that I really latched onto, and I liked that kind of hooked me early on, was the sort of that sci-fi component to it. And while I haven't seen it, what it did remind me of, and also just talking about it, is it kind of have some Titan AE vibes.
Yeah,
Like
it's
like
the Don
hard.
Bluth era, baby.
Yeah. So that kind of kept me, because I'm a huge Titan AE fan, and so this kept me in it. And like, I think the movie could have been maybe 10 minutes longer and included more of his character.
Maybe him flying through space a little bit more. And
I want more hijinks with him and more involvement with him, because I think it was a really interesting character, and it would have been interesting to have them go more back and forth, the brothers.
Caitlin?
I think Rex and Screw Eye.
Oh.
Because
Chromio.
of how interesting he is to me. He's not a good guy, but his like motivations for wanting to be the master of fear.
I wouldn't say he's not even that much of a bad guy, just
He's
more of
not.
an asshole.
I mean,
He's a
Like,
jerk, but
he,
can we
like,
put it on? Can we put it out here though that he drugs children?
yeah,
That's
no,
a bad guy.
That's
a bad guy.
He
Can we
drugs
just
children who
clear?
are under contract. I'm kidding. No.
That his
But that's the thing,
contract
he's
is
an
only
asshole,
signed
like,
by
He
blood.
gave pills to children.
I'm
for a contract they
interested.
sign in blood, and it knocked them out.
okay.
for
Well,
hours.
that part aside,
That's some Cosby level evil. Okay?
that's true. You're not wrong.
That. Big facts.
I'm like interested in how did he come to like have mind control laser screw eye?
Exactly.
How did
'Cause
he
he's his
start
brother.
doing that?
Because they're not from this timeline.
I get that, but like, I don't know.
But like to go back to the
there's just
future.
yeah. Roll back the rock to the start of
back
time
Because
in the
Dr.
future.
Because
I
Captain,
guess.
Captain New Eyes says, like, this is my brother. He chooses to stay in this timeline in order to create more fear.
Right, but like, why?
Because he's
Gets off
so
on
that's the interesting that I like that you were saying, like, because you do see that he's actually is a fearful person.
Yeah,
Every once in a while
he's
you see him
very
be like,
afraid.
you see him like shudder. I'm like, oh, because he's ruled by his own fears.
So he tries to dominate other people.
and so he tries
with
to dominate
his
other
own- Like
people.
Batman. Like Batman. Batman's
This
afraid of
movie is
bats.
Batman.
Bats. You know who's also afraid of
And
bats?
like-
Killer Croc.
And also, how does he get like? What are the crows? Are the crows like magical too? Because they all just like sit on him and then he poofs, and then they like take the screw back. Was that like?
Well, first of all,
a
a kids movie, they can't show like
Death.
right?
tearing
They
someone
can't
apart with
show
beaks.
him getting torn
You know the
apart by
concept
crows.
of the Watchers in the
But-
Marvel universe? Those are the crows in this universe.
But like, what? I want to know the storyline of like, why did he want to make this whole business?
AKA, we
Model.
all want a We're Back cinematic universe
I
with the
do.
brothers.
I want to know
Yeah.
what made him like this
I
to
wanna
make
know.
blood contracts and
was he always
drugging children.
named Screw Eyes? Did
Was
he
he-
always have a last name than his brother?
Does he actually pay his employees well? Because it seems like he does.
Or was he, you know, Bob New Eyes and then he lost an eye and he's like, I'm Screw Eye now.
Or is New Eyes trying to get away from his family's
okay.
perception?
No, what
I'm
happened?
going back in time. I'm going to scare people.
What happens
All
that-
right, dude.
I want to know.
He was the last person to get saved out of a kidnapping, and then he's talking to his brothers like, "What did you guys always call me over at the GCU?"
No, I don't know. Screw Eyes.
Screw eyes.
Yeah. But no, I like him just
Sorry
because I'm
about it.
interested in him, not because I'm like, oh, he's a really good guy. He's like the best guy.
Yeah, no.
There's just, there are some qualities about him where I'm like, you're not totally evil. You're evil. You are evil. But you're
He's
not
pretty evil.
all evil. Like,
No, no,
Well, the
no.
thing is, like, I think
all-encompassing evil.
for you and me, Caitlin, we're kind of like, he's not completely evil because we just see a lot of that shit in reality.
Yeah.
He's not very cartoony evil.
You
It's
see
like,
people drugging children?
Okay.
No, that's what I'm saying,
We've-
like, it's not-
we've
he's not
admit-
like-
we've
he's not like-
acknowledged
he's not like-
drugging
he's not like
children in blood
Not
fictional.
letting that
contracts.
go.
We are aware
not
of
That's
that.
a big.
Yeah.
That's a big no.
No, it is. It is.
very big
he's not,
no-no.
He's not like fictional evil where it's like, I'm here to take over the world, where it's more like he didn't want the kids to come to the fucking
He actually told them
circus.
to leave at first.
And then all of a sudden he's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you have dinosaurs. Like you see him start concocting it. So he's not like this like megalomaniac.
Just like he concocted the pills that he gave them.
Oh my God.
He did.
All right.
He literally said, this is the cure to my brother's brain drain. I'm like, damn, dude, you made drugs? That's the anti-breakfast? Like, that's what you're telling kids.
Very real.
That's what the true story is.
That's why
the
you
moral.
don't take supplements. You
Don't
eat
do drugs.
cereal.
Well, cereals is breakfast a champion and drugs is
They'll
breakfast
turn you
fanatics.
into a circus monkey.
So for me, my favorite characters will probably be I don't, you know, so as a kid, easily was dweeb. As a kid was easily dweeb.
Okay.
And Rex. But as an adult, like I kind of look back and like I think I really like Louis because of his pathological sense to not have connection. I really, really like that. Like his biggest wish is to have a friend, but at every moment, like he pushes off like Rex's affection,
Don't touch
Cecilia's
me.
affection.
No.
And I was like-
no smooching.
Whoa, that's really kind of cool. Like instead of having it, so he's like, I have a friend. Movie's over. Credits.
Yeah.
Like it's just like no, he doesn't accept it really, and then like
He's got
Has to
to
work
break down
through
his toxic masculinity.
pretty much.
And then he can
he has to start caring about
feel.
people who aren't other than him, and it's like that's why he doesn't have friends.
His character has to develop. What a notion.
Yeah. So I actually really liked that character, especially as a kid character. Like to have kids watch that is very interesting. You know, like usually
Who
the
else?
kid is so good-hearted and like does
Oh,
all
yeah.
the right things and only rebels like against the parents because like the
But
parents
he
are
starts
stupid.
off as a rebel.
Yeah. So I was like, I really like that. And
Second favorite?
second's probably I mean, to just create some variety, I'll pick
Or be honest, whichever one.
Yeah. You don't
I
have
mean-
to choose something just because everyone
You can
else
create
has chosen
variety
it.
or you can give your honest answer.
I'm gonna create variety. Dweeb. Dweeb is I fucking
You were gonna
Back
say
to, like,
Rex, huh?
as a
your
well,
roots.
like typically like to me the best characters are like Rex and New Eyes, but like dweeb. I gotta give it to the homie. He's just so stupid and dumb and lovable. Like I just fucking love him. And
So good.
yeah,
You ever see the Disney Channel original movie Genius?
Yes.
yeah.
He's the professor. in
professor,
that.
yeah. And he's
He's like the kid's mentor at the school.
he's the
Oh,
one
the ice
that the
rink.
insanity. So now we'll go into our qualms. Who wants to go first?
I'll just
I
get
will.
mine out of the way.
Oh, yeah, Ollie, go ahead.
It's just a follow up to what I said before, which is just I wish it was slightly longer, only because the only legitimate qualm I have for this movie is the fact that that New Eyes has to give his entire backstory in one sentence. That's the only part where I'm like, and he's doing it while he's walking towards them, and I'm like, whoa, it's a lot of information that I have to process right now. Can we? And then all of a sudden they're sitting in front of hot dogs, which I loved. I love that.
I want that
such
orb.
a quick.
I want that
want those
orb.
hot
That
dogs.
cooks
That orb
hot
can't
dogs.
Yeah, I want that
I don't
orb.
even like hot dogs, but
And
I
I
would
want
eat
those hot
all of
dogs
those.
too.
Oh yeah, with mustard. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's
See?
sitting there,
Dweeb.
kind of like juices going down, you know?
Who's next?
I'll go next.
Corey.
For me, it's too short.
I would agree with that.
That's it.
Okay.
It's just it ends.
So abruptly.
Yeah.
I would love more second act. That's all.
Josh?
I only have two small, and one is kind of a piggyback on Corey's. I noticed, obviously I didn't notice when I was a kid, but as an adult watching it, I was like, holy shit, things happen fast. It's because it's only 70 minutes, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. And I forgot like how quickly like the introduction to kind of almost the quote premise of the movie is. Like it's just like dinosaurs, brain grain, they're smart, the future.
Stop stepping on other
exactly.
dinosaurs.
And my only other qualm, it's so stupid, but at the beginning of the movie, Rex is chasing that little tiny dinosaur, and that tiny dinosaur appears to be able to talk.
Yeah.
Had a little bit of that brain grain, bro.
So it was only I was just kind of like, so did he already get some brain grain? And so that's why he can, like maybe some fell out of the
bait.
ship and he had some, like that was the only time I was like, well, I mean, I know it's funny because he has kind of like a humanistic response,
Oh no.
but it doesn't make sense that was just like one thing that I was like, oh, that kind of, but I don't
and
really
so
care.
this is a little bit to the point of what Caleb, like what we're talking about, like what is the artist trying to say? Maybe they're trying to say that smaller life forms are smarter than the big dumb ones.
Because they have to.
But that's like that's a fucking broad stroke. That's you're reading into theory and all that shit. So
It was just like a little thing that I was like, oh, I never noticed that before. But yeah, anyway.
Caitlin?
I was actually really kind of put off by the like pushing the relationship of Louis and Cecilia. Like it felt like they were treating them like a young married couple in their 20s. And that actually made me a little uncomfortable. But that could very well just be my like take on it. I don't know. Anytime like people are like to kids about a
when there's too
relationship,
much of a
then I'm like,
romantic.
stop. They can. He
felt that
just
a
wants
little
a
bit.
friend. Like, don't make it a relationship. Just
I get that.
learn how to
but
get a friend first.
I get that, but I remember that feeling happening a lot from my childhood. Of any girl I hung out with, every teacher, even my parents were like, "Oh, is that your girlfriend?" I'm like, and then you're going through fucking puberty, so you're like, no, that's weird, But then it's like they have cooties or they don't have cute cooties, but also she does look really pretty today. It's like So like there is that sense, but I do see what you mean by it in terms of like in a
How it was
mass
treated.
market world, like how is it as a product?
They could have been younger characters or older or like slightly older.
I mean, I'm fine with there being like kids having a little like, ooh, I like you and I like you too. But like for me, I was just a little thrown off because Louis just wants a friend, and then all of a sudden he's got like a girlfriend, and I feel like she's also like tricking him into like being lovey with her, which felt weird. Because she's like, if you were a real man, you'd kiss me. And he's like, oh, well, I guess it's fine. It's like, why don't we just be friends first?
The one thing I did notice is that whenever they were pushing some more of the romantic parts, they were drawing Cecilia slightly different, like her face.
Yeah.
Just to give her like like I hate to even say it, like the sexy face
Yeah.
of like.
That's what made me uncomfortable. I was just like,
but it was like it was so slight, but it was like it was
it's
still
okay
there.
if it's okay if kids are like cutesy and like I had, you hold hands with someone, you're like, ooh, I like you when you're little, but it just felt they were treating it too adult for kids.
I think also this is like
me.
a little bit of and this is why I was talking about like with Spielberg like changed the industry in a big bad way, but also just the films in 1993, like this is also kind of the same era as like Little Rascals. And like thinking about like how that's literally a love movie. But also in that sense of like, like there is a little bit of like a push, but then there is that one scene in the alleyway where he says, "What are you, like some kind of debutante?" She's like, "I am." And then he's like, "Oh." And then that's when he starts having the hard eyes. So it's like,
and then there's little poofs of steam behind her.
Yeah. Like I didn't feel like too much of an agenda, but more of like, okay, this is going to be established as a romantic interest as an adult. I'm like, this is where they wrote it in.
Yeah. Anyway, that was just like that was a something that caught me off a little bit. I mean,
Moving
yeah,
on.
I kind of already said that like the moral, not like getting kind of whiplash from constantly having a question, but it's both a qualm and something I really liked about it. So it's like, is it qualm, but it's not a qualm.
Yeah. It provides a mental exercise where it's like, it's fun, but also they're just not going to answer your questions, baby.
Never. You will not get an answer.
Which is not always a bad thing.
Yeah, no.
But so for me, qualms are little animation quirks, like what you were talking about. Like faces changed. Faces changed a lot. And I was just
a lot.
Like when like the whole moment where the contract's about to be signed, I'm like, those are 4 different actors. Like that's what happened. Like those are 4 different actors. And like it's not like a terrible thing, but I was like, I could tell like
we went a little off model, eh?
They were tight. They were like, yo,
get it done. Do you want us to be like every gaming company 20 years from now, just being an asshole? Get it done, like
oh my God.
So that, and then second thing is just a little bit of the like it felt very like things happened. There was a lot of and then it's different than but then. So like they get dropped off in the Hudson, but then they mess up Louis's boat. So then they have to help Louis get to the circus. But then they can't go through the main streets because they're giant dinosaurs. So then, so there's a lot of but then, so then. So like the so thens don't need to happen too much, but then the but thens are very important for dramatic like narrative. And there's that kind of stuff that keeps happening, which is I think the symptom of what we're all talking about. Like it's a little short for what it is, and so like it feels just very crammed. But that's it for me. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I still really like the movie. Okay, so now rating. So it's Corey and Josh first.
Josh, you go for it. Unless you don't want to. I don't know.
I'll give you a third favorite
this movie
character
was
if you go
very,
first.
very hard for me to rate. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with a 4.5.
4.5. That's your very solid, right? That's like solid 4.5.
Yeah, solid. I mean, honestly, it's between a 4 and a 4.5, but I'm going to give it the benefit of what it is, and it's a 4.5.
Corey?
4.5, baby.
4.5 for Corey.
Yeah.
All right. Caitlin? Or is it me next?
It's you.
It would be you, Tom.
This is going to be 4. Yeah, 4. I'll just do 4. I'll just do 4.
Now it's Caitlin.
3.3.
Ah, shit. Wait, did I vote for Caitlin? No.
No, Josh and I did.
I liked it, but
But she hated it.
no, I didn't hate it. It's just
3.3 is not hate.
it kept taking me out of it a bunch. So like I wasn't able to sink in and be like cozy in the movie. I just kept getting like kind of whiplashed with the questions.
But what's happening?
But it's one of those
that's what you're
things.
saying. Like, but I need to know.
But I need to know. Yeah, but it's one of those things where like that was giving me a lot of whiplash, but I would watch it probably multiple times again. So it's one of those things where the score is low, but I liked it.
Ollie?
Mine is a 3.7.
Ooh, Caitlin, you done.
Caitlin.
I
good.
chose right.
Yeah.
You
I
chose
chose right.
Actually,
smartly.
when you guessed me, I was like, it's gonna be me.
It's gonna
It's
be
gonna be me.
It's gonna be my.
Oh,
I almost
man.
did a 3.9, and then I was like, that 0.1 for nostalgia puts it back up there. I was just like, I have to, babe, for the squad. Like, that movie did so much for me as a kid. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna make sure my kids fucking watch that shit
Wow.
when I'm like
Aw.
80 years
So we
old.
do have a shout out to give if it'll load
Make sure
here.
it's the right one because I messed it up before. So
Wow.
You did? I have not messed.
I've messed it up. I'm just saying for me, I've messed it up. So
Sure. Dana P. It's a shout out for
Dana.
guessing that grunt.
wow.
Dana,
She's
you
like-
know me.
She got your number. She got your number. She knows.
She does, literally and figuratively.
Yeah. All right.
Awesome.
We did it. That's we're back. A dinosaur story.
Eat some dinosaurs for Thanksgiving, y'all.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
We did.
We technically are. Turkeys are just the closest relatives to dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Okay,
Birds
then I will
in
do
general.
that. Thank you for
Yeah.
this
I
suggestion.
don't know if I'll eat turkey.
Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening or watching if you are on YouTube. Thank you so much. We appreciate you all. Let us know your thoughts of We're Back, the classic Thanksgiving movie.
On this Thanksgiving Day.
Yes. Reach out to us on social media or join that Discord, nerdon.tv/Discord, and let's talk about it. There are channels for everything from movies, like this movie, and food and
porn.
anything, really. You can talk about anything. But yeah, if you are new to Nerd On, check out nerdon.tv. Our website has all the information on everything that we do. Check out our YouTube channels, Nerd On TV and Nerd On the Podcast. We have several different podcasts that we do. So again, nerdon.tv is going to have
Give
all of
a
the
listen.
information of everything that we do. Stop by, rate and review us, share use the word.
With the family.
Use the word.
Get some
share
brain
us with
drain,
you.
Josh.
Yeah. Share us with your friends and family. That kind of stuff helps a lot, actually.
It do.
And one last time, shout out to the Nerd On Nation. Do consider joining that Nerd On Nation. Lots of cool people in there, and it does allow us to grow and to keep getting better, upping our quality,
Keep getting our nerd on.
keep getting our Nerd On, and creating more
Raging
and more
Nerd On.
content.
Oh, yeah.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Everyone listening, holidays might be a little different this year, so make sure to call your loved ones and watch this movie together. Maybe do it over like a Zoom or Discord, something like that. But you know, we're going to be here for the holidays, so hit up our Discord if you want to share your food and stuff like that. But yeah, take care of each other for this holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spread some holiday cheer and drink some eggnog, like I have
If you want.
all
love eggnog.
month long.
Oh my God.
I've been doing it up.
But yeah, thank you again so much for listening. You know the drill. As always, Nerd On.
Nerd on.
Nerd on.
Ending broadcast.